Number 5 Money mistakes Brits make in their 20s. If you're in your 20s right now, there is a very good chance you are bleeding money, and you don't even know it. I'm not talking about your Pret habit. I'm talking about 5 massive financial mistakes that could genuinely cost you tens of thousands of pounds over your lifetime. And almost nobody is talking about them. So let's fix that. Right, before we get into this, I want to be really clear about something. This isn't one of those videos where I wag my finger and tell you to stop buying coffee. Enjoy your coffee. Life's short. What I want to talk about are the structural mistakes, the big, boring, invisible ones that quietly rob your future self while you're not paying attention. And look, I made most of these myself. So there's absolutely no judgment here. Just stuff I genuinely wish someone had sat me down and explained when I was 23. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1, ignoring your workplace pension. I know. You've heard this before. But please, just hear me out for 60 seconds because the numbers on this are actually wild. When you start a job in the UK, your employer is legally required to enroll you into a workplace pension. Under auto-enrollment, you put in a minimum of 5% of your qualifying earnings, and your employer adds at least 3% on top. That 3%? That is free money. Literally free. Your employer is handing you extra cash and saying, "Here, have this for your future." And yet, and this is the bit that gets me, roughly 1 in 8 young workers opt out. They see the deduction on their payslip, panic, and think, "I can't afford that right now." But here's what they're actually doing. Let's say you're earning £30,000 a year. That employer contribution works out to roughly £75 a month going into your pension pot that you didn't have to earn. Over a 40-year career, with investment growth, we're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds. And you get tax relief on your own contributions too, so if you're a basic rate taxpayer, for every £80 you put in, the government tops it up to £100. I want to say that again. The government gives you free money. Your employer gives you free money. And people are opting out. If you've opted out, go back in. It takes one email to HR, seriously, pause this video and send that email. I'll wait. Mistake number 2, not opening a lifetime ISA when you can. Right, this one has a hard age limit, so pay attention. A lifetime ISA, or LISA, is available to anyone aged 18 to 39. You can put in up to £4,000 a year, and the government adds a 25% bonus on top. So if you max it out, you put in £4,000, the government drops in an extra £1,000. Just like that. You can use it for one of two things, buying your first home, or retirement after you turn 60. Now here's why this is specifically a 20s mistake. The earlier you open one, the more years of bonuses and compound growth you get. If you open one at 22 and contribute the full amount every year until you buy a house at 32, that's 10 years of bonuses alone, £10,000 the government has just given you towards your deposit. And that's before any investment growth. But there are some things to watch out for. If you withdraw the money for anything other than your first home or retirement, you'll pay a 25% withdrawal penalty, which actually means you lose more than the bonus. So don't treat it like a savings account you can dip into. And the property you buy has to be worth £450,000 or less, which, yes, in some parts of London that's tricky. But for huge swathes of the country, that covers a lot of homes. If you're between 18 and 39 and you haven't opened a LISA yet, even if you can only put in £50 a month, do it. You can open one with providers like Moneybox or AJ Bell in about 10 minutes. Future you will be very, very grateful. Mistake number 3, letting lifestyle inflation eat your pay rises. This one's sneaky because it doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like progress. Here's how it works. You're 24, you get your first proper pay rise. Maybe you go from 26 to 29,000. Lovely. So what do? You upgrade the flat. You get a nicer car on a PCP deal. You start eating out more. Maybe you bump up to the pricier gym. And within about 3 months, you feel exactly as skint as you did before the raise. That is lifestyle inflation, and it is the single biggest reason why people earn more and more every year but never actually build any wealth. Now, I'm not saying you should live like a monk. That's miserable and unsustainable. What I am saying is this: every time you get a pay rise, save or invest at least half of the increase before you adjust your lifestyle. If you get a £2,000 raise, commit 1,000 of it to your savings or investments before you even think about upgrading anything. This way, your quality of life still improves, just more slowly. And in the background, your money is quietly compounding and building you actual financial security. The people who look like they have money and the people who actually have money are very often two completely different groups. Remember that. Asterisk asterisk mistake number 4, having no emergency fund and relying on credit instead. Asterisk asterisk. Let's talk about the financial safety net that most people in their 20s simply don't have. An emergency fund is boring. It's unsexy. Nobody's posting about their emergency fund on Instagram. But it is the single most important thing standing between you and financial disaster. Because life will throw something at you. Your boiler breaks. You lose your job. Your car fails its MOT spectacularly. And when that happens, when, not if, you've got two options. You either dip into your emergency fund and deal with it calmly. Or you stick it on a credit card, maybe take out a buy now pay later plan, and suddenly you're paying interest on a crisis you didn't choose. And this is a real problem in the UK right now. The average credit card debt in this country is over £2,000, and a huge chunk of that is driven by people who didn't have a cash buffer when something went wrong. So how much should you have? The classic advice is 3 to 6 months' worth of essential living costs. And I get it, when you're in your 20s, that sounds like a mountain of money. So start smaller. Aim for £1,000 first. That £1,000 will cover most of the common emergencies, the car repair, the broken laptop, the unexpected vet bill. Where should you keep it? Somewhere easy to access but not so easy that you're tempted to spend it on a weekend away. A decent easy access savings account will do. Check the best buy tables. Right now some are paying over 4 or 5%, which is brilliant compared to what we had a few years ago. Marcus, Chase, Chip, have a look around. It takes 5 minutes. And if you're currently carrying high-interest debt, especially credit cards or overdrafts, tackle that first. Getting out of expensive debt is the best guaranteed return you'll ever get. Asterisk asterisk mistake number 5, waiting until you know enough to start investing. Asterisk asterisk. This is the one that cost me the most, personally. When I was in my 20s, I kept telling myself I'd start investing once I understood it properly. Once I'd read the right books. Once I'd figured out the perfect strategy. And you know what? I waited years. Years. And every single one of those years was compounding time I'll never get back. Here's the truth about investing that nobody tells you in your 20s. You do not need to be an expert. You do not need to pick individual stocks. You do not need to time the market. What you need to do is start. In the UK, you can open a stocks and shares ISA, that's an individual savings account where your gains are completely tax-free, and invest in a simple global index fund. Something that tracks the performance of hundreds or thousands of companies around the world. Vanguard, Fidelity, InvestEngine, all solid platforms, all very beginner-friendly. Let me give you some numbers to show why starting early matters so much. If you invest £200 a month from age 22, and you get an average annual return of, say, 7%, which is roughly the historical average for a global index fund, by the time you're 60, you'd have over £600,000. If you wait until you're 32 to start, same contribution, same return, you'd end up with roughly half that amount. Same monthly amount. Same investment. But starting 10 years later cost you over £300,000. That is the power of compound interest, and it's why time in the market is your biggest advantage in your 20s. You don't need to start with £200 a month. Start with 50. Start with 25. The amount almost doesn't matter at the beginning. What matters is that you start, and that you're consistent. So let's quickly recap those 5 mistakes. Number 1. Opting out of your workplace pension and turning down free money from your employer and the government. Number 2. Not opening a lifetime ISA while you still can and missing out on that 25% bonus. Number 3. Letting lifestyle inflation swallow every pay rise so you never actually get ahead. Number 4. Having no emergency fund and ending up in expensive debt when life goes sideways. And number 5. Waiting to feel ready to invest when time is literally the most valuable thing you have. If you're in your 20s and you fix even 2 or 3 of these, you will be so far ahead of where most people end up. This isn't about being perfect with money. It's about getting the big things roughly right, as early as you can. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these mistakes hit closest to home? Or if you're a bit older, what do you wish you'd done differently in your 20s? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and honestly some of the best tips on this channel come from you lot, not from me. If you found this useful, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And if you want to go deeper on any of the topics we covered today, pensions, leases, investing for beginners, I've got videos on all of them. I'll link the most relevant ones on screen right now. Thanks for watching. Go send that HR email. And I'll see you in the next one.